Hi and welcome back to the It's a Girl Thing podcast. It's me, Kate, and we're here for another day, another chit chat, another you and me session. It's been a little while now actually, but I'm super excited to be back. We'll get into a little life update real quick. But first, welcome. Whether you're new to the show, you've been here since we started, and oh my goodness, it's almost been a year. So thank you. But please, if you do love the show and you join us once a month, once a week, whatever it may be, please feel free to leave a rating on your favourite podcasting platform so that more people can find us, join us, and be part of the fam. So, catch up, life update, yes. We just moved house, so if this looks different from my uni room, if this looks different from my old room, it's because I'm sitting in the living room of our new house that my family's moved into. So that's scary, but super exciting, but it's been really busy. I haven't been able to find anything, and we've only really just got to unpacking in the last week. So here we are. I finally found all my podcasting stuff. Another little quick exciting thing for me is that I received a youth grant from my local council, and the really cool thing about that was that the money was all to go towards you guys and to the podcast. So everything that I got from that will be going straight back into everything we do here. And stay tuned for the end because I have some exciting news and I can't wait to share it. But I've got to make sure we've got time first. So life update from me, moved house, what's happened in the last week? I finished my first placement block for X-ray school, so that was super exciting. So my first 6 weeks out of 15 have finished, and I get a week of holidays now, so I'm super excited for that. And for anyone who's enjoying school holidays right now, you should be. Take the time to do a little bit of study, but mostly just relax, rest your mind, your body, do things you love, fill your cup so that when you go into the busy exam season, you are ready and you can give your everything to that, because if you tire yourself out now, you're not going to be able to do anything then. So this week I decided to take my chest x-ray test, which is like one of the 5 tests that I have to take as part of my first year placement. These tests are just like to see how we're progressing and to make sure, I'm doing things well as like a student x-ray tech, that I treat patients well, that I follow everything that we have to do, and that we're legally following our obligations. And so if you know anything about me from all our chats so far, is that I struggle really badly with being a perfectionist, and in that I have anxiety doing that, and I struggle with the high expectations I set for myself. So I took my chest test, which is the first one of 5 and probably supposedly the easiest, but it has the most information, but it's the most familiar. It's complicated. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you really won't. But I took my test for the first time on Wednesday, and I'd been feeling like for the past week or two that I was ready to take it, but there'd been so many missed opportunities just because I didn't have somebody around who was a tester, or I didn't have the right patient, because we have to have a certain kind of patient to do it on and all that. And I'd been feeling like I was ready to pass it. Unfortunately, I missed one of the automatic fail requirements. So, like in your driving test, how if you do a certain thing wrong, it's an automatic fail and your whole test is done. There's no way you can redeem yourself. I did something like that on my test, and so I failed. And I was absolutely disappointed in myself, and I started spiraling about it. So let's talk about those feelings. Well, we all have expectations of other people, our jobs, our government, but the biggest expectations we do and we put on ourselves. The expectations we put on ourselves can increase our overall stress that we experience in life, and it can especially give us a fear of failure. And the second you hear the words fear of failure, I feel like quite a few of you will be like, yes, I know exactly what you mean, Kate. And trust me, I know that feeling all too well. And so we're talking about it. We are going to hit the nail right on the head, whatever you want to call it. We're going to pot call our kettles black. No, that's not the right saying, but you got my point. We're going to talk about it. We're going to call ourselves out on it, and we're going to hopefully learn how to cope with it. So the fear of failure that we have can stop us from doing so many things that we want to do. It doesn't mean that we will never do them, but it stops us from having the growth and confidence because it takes such a long time, and then it's not in the timeline that you want. And it's frustrating because something so little, that fear of failure, can become so big and take over everything we want to do. So the real problem with the fear of failure is that when you lose every bit of confidence and trust in yourself, or you have to start from square one, or even start lower than square one, that lost confidence gives you a self-esteem drop. And I feel like we can all say that we've experienced that kind of like heavy loss of self-esteem, that we have some days where we feel like we've hit rock bottom and that we just don't feel anything good about ourselves or good for ourselves. So if you're in a rough patch, these self-esteem drops hit 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, a million times harder than being in a really good patch and just having one moment in your roller coaster. Having a self-esteem drop when you're in a crappy time is one of the most awful feelings, and it can just make everything feel so much bigger and more overwhelming. It's a disappointment, anger, frustration, sadness, and so many other emotions wrapped into one big bubble that's then like encompassing you, that's controlling you and holding you. For me, I'm someone who can see like both sides of the coin at almost all times, which is crazy and also super frustrating for me sometimes, because sometimes I just want to be able to have a pity party and not being able to tell myself, yeah, it's okay, it's all right. But it means that I will be disappointed and berating myself and saying you're not good enough, you are a waste of space, you are all these negative things. But while I'm doing that, I'm telling myself, this is just a small thing. It's the first of many. It's your first year. It's everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has things, and that it doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. I tell myself all these things interchangeably at the same time so that my body doesn't end up even knowing what I should be feeling. Is there something I should be feeling? Am I not valid for having the down, upset feelings, or am I supposed to be telling myself it's okay and move on? And it's really conflicting because I'm like, oh yes, I just want to have a pity party. I want to say it's okay to feel those feelings. And what I did to manage that the other day was I actually set a timer on my watch for 2 minutes, and I said, you're allowed 2 minutes to have a pity party. So I intentionally snuck away to a bathroom, had a little cry, a little breakdown, little frustration. I told myself I was disappointed in me, that I could have done so much better, that how could I forget something so simple? I let myself have 2 minutes of that. Then I dusted myself off. I said, in the big scheme of things, this is just a setback. Now let's use the setback. Let's let it make me better, let it help me grow, let it help me learn. And then I moved on. Doesn't mean I'm not still slightly frustrated with myself, but it is what it is. And that loop of the sadness, the frustration, the you can do this, drives me crazy. And I jump from being my own hype girl to having a pity party. I just want to feel one thing at a time sometimes, but I know that that's not how I work, and I guess that's my thing that I'm learning. My expectations that I had for myself were the downfall, because nobody else expected me to pass first go. Nobody else had this expectation that I had to do this and had to do it in a certain timeline. It was all just a part of it, and especially as somebody who's a student, and it was a student-based thing, so it is all about learning. So I guess it's one of those silly things. All the times that I boosted my ego and set myself those high expectations that may have been impossible to achieve, I caused long-term trouble and sacrifice for myself. And the other thing about the fear of failure and high expectations is that I told myself that my assessor and qualified marking the test was disappointed in me, that my tutor for my clinical placement was disappointed in me. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I could continue. Didn't think that I'd be able to pass it again, that it meant that I couldn't do anything anymore. And the funny thing about that was my qualified told me she was proud of me. She told me that I ticked every other box on the entire test off, bar the one instant. And I guess for me, yes, that's more frustrating, but it should also be reassuring because it means that I know what I'm talking about and know what I'm doing. But it was that self-expectation that actually broke down the connection and relationship that I had with that qualified. It made me feel like she was going to be on my case more, that she was going to be working over my shoulder waiting for me to make yet another mistake, and it killed my confidence. It killed my confidence massively, and so it took a little bit to build that back. And it'll probably take a little bit more time. I felt like I pushed myself back to being like week 2 level of student X-ray tech instead of week 6. But I passed my test on Friday, so something good can come out of it. I pushed myself, I learned, and I grew from it. Doesn't mean I'm right back at that confidence level, but I'll get there. So let's just sum everything up that we've talked about today. Self-expectation can help us grow, but only when we keep it in check. There's a fine line between having expectations for ourselves and having too high of expectations for ourselves. Because if we have no self-expectation, we'll never do anything worthwhile in our lives. We will lie around on the couch all day. We will just never go anywhere that we want to go because we've got no expectations to push ourselves to where we want to go. But with too many expectations on ourselves, we chip away at our mental well-being, piece by piece, to leave ourselves with nothing but a shell of disappointment, frustration, anger, sadness, and lost self-esteem. So next time you set goals and expectations and even think things about yourselves, make sure you keep yourself in check. Make sure you know how hard you're being on yourself, and think about what you would tell a friend in that situation. Would you say, well, yes, you messed up, but that gives you reason to keep learning. It gives you reason to keep pushing. Look how well you did at everything else. These are the things we should be telling ourselves. So please make sure you keep your self-expectation in check. Let's get into a little hype girl moment because, hey, we're talking about expectations, we're talking about what we'd say to our friends, so let me talk to you. I wrote this down for once so I don't ramble. Hey girl, it's your reminder that you are unstoppable. No matter what's on your plate, you are doing amazing. We are all in this together, figuring it out, learning, growing, showing up for ourselves. Whether you are crushing your goals and your expectations, or whether you're just getting through the day, I see you, and I'm here to remind you that you've got this. Take a breath. Straighten your gorgeous tiara, queen, crown, whatever you have that keeps you amazing, stunning, and gorgeous. Just let's keep building the life we deserve. You are never alone in this. This is your space, your sisterhood, and we're cheering you on every step of the way. Let's keep doing this. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Please don't forget to come back next week for more girl talk and tell your other girlfriends. They might need the space just as much as you need it. And if you stuck around, here's our quick little exciting news. It's a Girl Thing's getting a makeover by hopefully the end of the year, but hopefully by the end of November, maybe for our 1 year celebration of being together. I think we're no longer going to be It's a Girl Thing. So if you want to keep on top of all the updates about that, head over to my Instagram, It's a Girl Thing Pod. that's where I'll keep all my updates about it. But at this stage, it sounds like we're going to be the unofficial sisters club. And the reason I wanted to change this is just there's several other It's a Girl Thing podcasts out there, and the whole point of this is I really wanted us to be unique, special, our own little group. And I just find that hard, knowing that there are other people out there doing similar but not the same thing we are. So yeah, thank you for being here. And please, please, please keep sticking around because I'm so grateful for you. I'll see you next week. Bye.